Tower of Agito. There's a save point right at the beginning, too, so... Who's this fart cracker? Atra. Hail, friend, this is the Tower of Judeca, known to many as the Tower of Agito. I've heard this place houses a Lassie stone, and judging by this ominous aura, it appears the rumor may hold some credence after all. According to ancient scripture, the sole path leading skyward is strewn with the bodies of 100. Climbing the tower is a feat insurmountable for even a Secundus Lassie, let alone for a mere mortal. He who dares ascend these stairs is either fearless or utterly foolish. If, however, you do not shudder at the thought of walking into certain death, then you may proceed. Fun. Fun, 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 fun. You definitely want to drop a save. Yeah, and the difficulty is automatically altered for the dungeon, so it doesn't matter what you have your difficulty on. So let's see if we can handle this. Walk the void. So I've heard the enemies in here are in like level 128 or something, which you can't actually get to. So level 128. That's pretty fun. Oh my god, I'm dead. Everybody's dead. Holy beep.
I got this.
These tomberries don't fuck around. Yeah, I don't see this happening if the whole thing's like this. Oh, come on! That was ridiculous. Like pretty much one hit and you're dead.
I got this.
I mean, if you're in the max level and you still get one-shotted, then that's a serious problem. Like, come on, man. That's ridiculous. I got him. Oh, come on! That's some fucking bullshit. That is some serious fucking bullshit, man. On him, a lantern. Oh my god, a bunch of them disappeared. What the fuck? Okay, can we just use a freaking teleport stone to get out of here, please? Because that's certainly not happening. That would take forever to get through. So, no thanks. Let's return to academia. And let's finish the game, shall we?
Kupo?
Alright, first of all, we want to go visit the Rubicon thing. Because there's probably some new stuff there. Also, since we're pretty much at the
operation against the Imperial capital is
oh my god. We might as well
Anti-aircraft guns have been taken out, and ground forces are moving in.
we might as well cash these in. Hast thou come to deliver knowing tags, Kupo?
Airborne. Airport occupation commencing.
Thou hast collect 42 knowing tags, Kupo. What a noble soul thou art. Do accept this simple token of my gratitude, Kupo. We get a Dominion helmet. Not worth it at all. Like, not even close. Hasty Steven could do that while drinking water. So that's just disgusting. Give me my Sonic Chocobos. That's a lot of Sonic Chocobos. That's a lot of Sonic Chocobos. That's a lot of gum. Of course, we don't have any Mimit. I mean, of course not. We pretty much need Mimit. Okay, screw you then. Your Chocobo laid eggs. You need Mimit and Silcus Greens, but we don't have any, so it really doesn't matter. It matters not. Shut up, man! God, you're such an annoying pile of crap. Alright. Let's check the Rubicon before we head to the next mission, which I think is the next to last mission in the game. I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe. We got some new stuff. Formation of the Lorican Alliance. It is said of warfare that good fortune is often preferable to great might, and the formal foundation of the Lorican Alliance 18 years after the Dominion's establishment demonstrates this point thoroughly. While the advent of the Peristilium may have assured that Lorica's neighbors would fall in line, a formidable challenge to the Lorican claim came from over a mountainside in Barith. The ensuing power struggle would engulf the entirety of the region, factions and coalitions of every stripe calculating risk and rewards before casting their lots. I mean, the only two achievements left in the game are story-based, so yep. The year 141, however, wrought calamitous devastation upon the lands and people of Barith. The once presumptive conquerors now found their hand forced, and declared open war against Lorica. Yet their desperate gambit would turn only to despair. No sooner had the call to arms been made than had the Lord of Barith been found dead, defeated, with a game over screen. The Crystal-blessed Knights laid the mountain low soon after, founding the Lorican Alliance under the fickle providence of fate. Founding of the Militesi Empire. The cyclical moral imperative of the wild is frightful, yet undeniable. Power begets avarice, which in turns begets power. Professed though we may know our own nature, there is no telling what some will do if given the opportunity. Such is the tale of Jorg Paradis, a lowly lord in Azure, who encountered the White Tiger Lassie in 174. 3 years before he was to crown himself Emperor of Militus. The rise of Paradis was owed to his study of crystal-driven technology, which led to the invention of firearms. Weapons of a like heretofore undreamt of in Orients. His subjugation of Azure was swift and merciless, requiring less than a year to demolish decades of civilization. Out of the ashes rose Ingram in the north, the capital chosen to house the White Peristilium as Paradis made his formal declaration of empire. It was the subsequent conquest of Setmi, however, that caused the realm to take notice, as expansionist Militus ushered in a savage new epoch of fear and force in Orience. Humanity shall never be the same. I'm gonna have to figure out what Final Fantasy is gonna be next, because I have no idea. Institution of a mechanized Imperial army in the First Lorican Militesi War. In war, as in the wild, it is the ability to adapt that separates victor from victim. The mass production of firearms more than suffice for the subjugation of the Outlands, but Imperial expansion would necessitate new technologies. The nature of combat changed when the Empire made inroads to Barith and inadvertently engaged the paladins of the Lorican Alliance. While Militus maintained an advantage at range, the knights could eventually close in and ravage the army's ranks, making it nigh impossible to secure a defended position. The key for Militus would be to overwhelm Lorica at a distance. In 214, 4 years prior to the breakout of hostilities... 13, oh dear God. I don't know if... I'm probably going to do 13 last, but I don't know. Maybe I should just get 13 out of the way. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. In 214, 4 years prior to the breakout of hostilities, the Empire drafted schematics for what was called the Crystal, or C, engine, an independent motor capable of powering mobile artillery. It was indeed at this time that the first airships were conceived as well, demonstrating the ingenuity born of military necessity. This paradigm shift, John Moxley style, the advent of mechanization in warfare, forever changed combat as we know it. The machines were a fearsome sight, menacing suits of mechanical armor brandishing wide-mouthed cannons that tore the Lorican lines to shred from afar. The Empire would show the brilliance no mercy. That's a good N64 game. Carving a path to the heart of the Alliance before the lessee of the Black Tortoise interposed, swiftly stifling the Imperial advance and bringing about an armistice as both sides paused to lick their wounds. Yep, does not like 13s, especially the first game. The first game's the worst. I would like to do 15, probably before 13 though, because I love 15. Lorica, development of crystal-powered armaments. In order to defeat one's enemy, it is often necessary to become one's enemy. Having stood helpless before the mechanized might of the Empire, the resilient Alliance redoubled its efforts to combat the crystal-powered Imperial juggernaut and fortify itself against invasion. Lorica's answer ultimately lay in its own crystal. Lorican scholars having devised a means of imbuing arms and armor with its mystical energy. The arms of Agito, as they came to be known, were of unrivaled might. Test your might. Capable of not only resisting, but felling the formerly invincible Imperial war machines. At last the Black Tortoise had found its carapace, and could mount a defense befitting the warriors of lore. The crystal alone could hardly suffice to supply the needs of a nation, and it is here that Lorica learned from the efficiency of its Militesi rivals. Under the guidance of the lessee, the Alliance was able to distill shards from the energy naturally emanating from the crystal. Production for the arms of Agito was soon powered by these shards, and before long the Alliance host was clad in the superlative equipment, a sight no less imposing than the mechanized arsenal of the Empire. A lot of people don't like 15, but I actually really like it. So, that's kind of a thing. The Dracobaltian coup in the ceiling of Naraku. Having lost the war against Rubrum and desperate to become stronger, the citizens of Dracobaltia turned to their Blue Dragon Crystal, hoping it might bless them with an even greater power. In response to the people's cries, the Blue Dragon Crystal, wishing to strengthen its people, bestowed upon the Dracobaltians the ability to manipulate beings far more formidable than monsters. Wyverns! However, once granted the power to control dragons, the avaricious Dracobaltians desired even greater strength. In their hubris, they used this newfound gift to wage a war over the fate of all four crystals. Moreover, despite the Wyvern's impressive intelligence, they were viewed by their masters as nothing more than monsters, and it was not uncommon for the dragons to serve as dinner for Dracobaltians in times of food shortage. Dinner. This struggle between fellow children of the Blue Dragon initiated a drastic decline in the crystal's power, and the balance between the four crystals of Orience began to falter. In a miraculous turn of events, however, the Azure Dragon Crystal appeared in order to overthrow the Blue Dragon Crystal. The new crystal wasted no time, immediately designating Azure Dragon Lassie to create the Curse Mire of Naraku and seal away the Dracobaltians for eternity. The kingdom of Dracobaltia and its Blue Dragon Crystal vanished from the face of Orience. And the good thing about doing 15 is that'll finally give me an excuse to do episode Arden, which I've had forever but haven't done it yet. So that would be a thing. Establishment of the Kingdom of Concordia. Realizing that the Dracobaltians failed to develop their crystal state because of their insatiable lust for power, the Azure Dragon Crystal first gave birth to Lassie, who would be able to establish a country. Under the guidance of these demigods, the Kingdom of the Azure Dragon quickly took shape as a crystal state. Then in the year 271, the Lassie Couperin authored the laws of the Azure Dragon and founded the matriarchal Kingdom of Concordia. In order to defend the Queen, Lunia subsequently forming a royal guard with the 5-star wardens at its head. Hespera then constructed towns and villages which later became the foundation of present-day Concordia. As the last step in the establishment of the kingdom, the Lassie Vesta erected a palace in the land of Mahamiori and declared it the royal capital. The Second Lorican Militesi War. How many wars did they have? Jesus Christ, dude! After its defeat in the First Lorican Militesi War, the Lorican Alliance chose to bide its time until the time was right, Slipknot style. Once enough knightly orders had been outfitted with arms of Agito, Lorica declared war on Milites. The two armies once again clashed in the sandy region of Barith, and the strength of Lorica's crystal armaments were astonishing. The Black Paladin swords cleaved straight through the Empire's ranks. Paladins aren't supposed to be black, those are called Dark Knights, sir. I'm just saying. And their armor protected them from the cannon fire. Even the Imperial Dreadnoughts proved no match for the Black Paladins, whose crystal power bows downed craft after craft. Overwhelmed and underprepared, the Empire was set to flight. Alliance Knights pursued the Imperial troops into their homeland. Their homeland obscurity! Aw yeah! But they did not anticipate their encounter with a White Tiger Lassie. The Black Paladins brandished their blades valiantly, but they were overpowered and driven out of Imperial lands. Nevertheless, despite all precedent, the Knight's crystal imbued arms of Agito saved the Alliance army from total destruction at the hands of the Lassie. The battle was lost, but the Knights managed to safely return to their homeland, obscurity. Moreover, the incident imbued the Alliance with hope. If they could produce even stronger armaments, defeating a Lassie might not be outside the realm of possibility. You never know. Concordia, Institute of Dragon Commands. Concordia had finished laying the foundation of their new kingdom. They set out to build up their military. The Azure Dragon Crystal possessed virtually the same abilities as that of the Blue Dragon, and Concordia too, formed their armed forces around monsters and wyverns. The notable differences between the armies of the two states was in their structure. The Dracobaltian army had no clear chain of command, and each military unit was allowed to fight on its own judgment. By contrast, the Concordian army assigned each unit to the command of the leaders of the 5-star Royal Guard, each of whom answered directly to the Queen. By establishing a clear chain of command, royal officials allowed the variegated squadrons with their monsters and wyverns to move as an army while functioning as individual units. With their new chain of command, I bet one of them's the Mountain Legend, by the way. The Royal Army adopted the use of military ranks common in other nations. Officers were divided into Marshal, General, Brigadier, Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel, major, captain, second lieutenant, and officer cadet. I guess there's no Sergeant Newfie, though. Wyverns comprise the core of the Royal Army, constituting over 90% of the entire Concordian forces. The army consisted of two types of units, dragon-led mixed commands of monsters and Draco Knights, and elite dragon-only commands assigned solely to the 5-star wardens for emergency use. Fun. The Rubramite Concordian War. Although the Empire and Alliance had been at war with one another nearly since the founding of their respective governments, the Kingdom and Dominion had enjoyed a relatively long period of peace. However, as Concordia solidified its military, that almost gave me a heart attack. As Concordia solidified its military under the direction of the 5-star wardens, tensions between the two nations began steadily increasing. Concordia struck first, dispatching a small unit to assault a city in the Ibon region to test the strength of their dragon commands. Rubrum initiated a counteroffensive, and a war was underway. The Mountain Legend was never fought. That's a shame. Maybe one day it'll be fought in R.A., the Mountain Legend. Rubrum used the battlefield's close proximity to its advantage, deploying troops from all over the Dominion to the Ibon region. At the time, the Dominion's main force included mage regiments of 1,000 spellcasting soldiers each, and Rubrum deployed 32 of these units. The Dominion legions dispatched a force of 40,000 troops in hopes of driving away the Royal Army. By contrast, the Concordian army deployed 4 mixed commands, each containing approximately 100 wyverns. Including reserve soldiers and monsters, the kingdom possessed a fighting force of 30,000. That's a lot. The Dominion army suffered countless casualties in the face of the wyverns' awesome power, and even after calling for reinforcements from Sergeant Newfie, they barely managed to hold their ground. However, after more than a month of fighting, a succession dispute in Concordia erupted into civil war, and the kingdom's army withdrew, ending the war. Dissension in the ranks and such. Rubrum, implementations of Eidolons. After their embarrassing performance against the Royal Army's wyverns, the Dominion legions began searching for something stronger than the magic they had relied upon until then. What they found were the Eidolons, FF9 style. Sorcery designated the Eidolons as a type of weapon, but they were not created at Academia, and these beasts of war were not exactly magic. Each Eidolon possessed its own intellect and its own will. They appeared when summoned, not from anywhere in Orient, but from another realm, possibly Nebraska. And after a set period of time, they vanished. Unlike spells developed in sorcery, the Eidolons could only be deployed by forging a covenant via summoning portal, and in exchange for their services, the Eidolons demand the summoner's life energy. You have to die in order to do a summon in this game. That sucks. I've never liked that, but that's how it goes. It is said that the discovery and implementation of Eidolons can be attributed to the efforts of the arch-sorceress at the time, but the physio-magical principles behind the Eidolons remain unclear to this day. Compared with Concordia's wyverns, who similarly possessed their own intellects but were most certainly born of the crystal's power, there is still much yet to be understood in regard to the nature of the Eidolons. According to legend, as if responding to the Dominion's demand for more power, the first Eidolon summoned was even more formidable than a Lassie. Rubrum deployed this Eidolon to Lorica, and after a long and drawn-out battle, the Eidolon finally managed to topple the Black Tortoise Lassie. However, this Eidolon required massive amounts of life energy, and the Dominion foolishly sacrificed the lives of many innocent legionaries to this end. 26 days, what the beep? Because of this incident, Dominion officials sealed away the first mighty Eidolon as anathema, and Rubrum decided to forge covenants with more agreeable beasts of war. Many facets of the Eidolons remain unclear, but once a covenant has been forged, anyone can summon that beast of war through a portal. Thus the Eidolons immediately secured a spot as the Dominion's primary offensive tool, and in the year 339, Rubrum formed its first summoning regiment. Oh boy. The Rubrumite Militesi War. I should have my final Red Mage relic weapon before Endwalker. I would think I'm already about halfway there, so... On the border between Militis and Rubrum, the Moreau region, west of Iska, was plagued with constant conflicts. In 343 RG, one of these borders disputes sparked the first war between the two countries. At the time, the Dominion had stationed a mage regiment near the border, and the Empire had deployed one of its MA-equipped armor divisions. The battle became a contest between magic and mechs, but the Dominion's spells had little effect on the Empire's Magitech armor, and the Imperial forces easily outnumbered the legions. Rubrum's front lines began to collapse, and the Empire nearly routed the Dominion out of Moreau. It was then that the Dominion's first independent summoning regiment joined the fray. I hear Hasty Stephen was part of it. They summoned not one of the mighty anathemic Eidolons, but Ifrit, whom they used to drive back the Imperial army and lead the Dominion to victory. This success convinced Rubrum that the Eidolons were more powerful than magic, and Sorcery immediately set out to research methods to implement and effectively utilize Eidolon units. Double Punch! Alright. That was a long, drawn-out thing. Anything else here? Anything else here? Nobody knows what it's like to be the bad Hasty Stephen, to be the sad Hasty Stephen, behind Hasty Stephen. Alright. Oh, we got something else. The Amateur Resistance. Its capital city captured by the Dominion, the Kingdom of Concordia had no choice but to concede defeat. One faction of the Royal Army, however, refused to surrender. Draco Knights rallied to the town of Amateur in the Dragon Sanctuary, vowing never to kneel before the Vermilion Bird. Well, what a bunch of turds! Seeing as the Empire had not yet capitulated, Dominion Central Command feared that anti-Dominion sentiment might spread to neighboring cities and negatively affect its campaign. Thus, they dispatched a cadet task force to Amateur. The cadets stormed the town, squashing the resistance movement and securing the town in a single day. It only took a day! How about that, punk? Dominating the Dragon's Nest. As part of their continuing efforts to disarm Concordia, Rubrum decided to eliminate the kingdom's greatest source of military power, their wyverns. Dominion Central Command dispatched several units to the Dragon's Nest, but the legions met with a fierce counteroffensive from the local forces. Begrudgingly acknowledging the legions stood no chance against the wyverns, the Commandant deployed a cadet task force to suppress the resistance movement and secure the Dragon's Nest. The formidable Royal Army put up an admirable fight, but they were no match for Class Zero, of course, all high-leveled and such, and the Dragon's Nest fell to the Dominion. Unable to breed wyverns to strengthen their forces, Concordia had lost all hope of recovery. That's a shame. You gotta hate when that happens. You really do. Okay. I don't think there's any... Oh, there's all this crap. Do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. Not sure where you get those, but could be a New Game Plus only thing. Not really sure about that, but... Probably Lavitz. Lavitz is probably my favorite. Maybe. We got a new Eidolon, Astaroth. Oh. He's huge. That's what she said. This dark Eidolon conjures gravitons and hurls them at enemies to deal massive damage. On one hand, Astaroth can continue the compression process even when under fire. However, the gravitational spheres it summons also inflicts the same injury upon Astaroth's allies as well as its enemies, making the summoning itself a rather risky endeavor. Therefore, Central Command only assigns this Eidolon to a select few squads that need not concern themselves the safety of their comrades. Special force units, for example. EDF style. I bet EDF has special force units. Any new enemies? Any new enemies? Any new enemies? Tonberry's new, apparently. Look at this piece of shit! We killed 4 of them! My god! Of all the monsters that inhabit Orient, Rubrum researchers are perhaps least familiar with this reptilian creature. Although a colony of Tonberries is said to reside in the northern reaches of Concordia, Commander Kurasame often travels with a companion bearing a striking resemblance to this monster. But his comrade's relationship to wild Tonberries is unclear. This creature wields a sizable kitchen knife and dashes in close to stab its enemies. I don't know why I said enemies when it says opponents, but same thing. When its friends fall in combat, the Tonberry channels their feelings of enmity towards their murderers into a devastating attack known as Everyone's Grudge. Despite their adorable appearance, Tonberries are quite powerful and should be approached with caution. Fun. We killed 4 of them, didn't you know? 14, 11. Alright, records of service. A Tonberry in need. That's the last one. For those that didn't know. Alright, time to go finish the game now. Enough fooling around.